Why do so many women seem to change so drastically after 40? The loyal wife begins to grow restless. The devoted mother suddenly feels confined. Families that once appeared unshakable start to fracture. To many men, it looks like madness. But this transformation is not random. It is a deep psychological shift. Every man must understand it because without awareness, it feels like betrayal. But with insight, it reveals a powerful truth about women at midlife. Most men never see it coming. For years, sometimes even decades, life feels steady, predictable, almost safe. She is the dependable wife, the nurturing mother, the one who seems to hold the household together. Of course, there are arguments and difficulties, but nothing that feels extraordinary. Then one day it changes. She changes. What begins subtly soon grows into something undeniable, and the woman you thought you knew starts to feel like a stranger. It begins in small ways. The way she looks at you feels unfamiliar. Her words carry a sharper edge. The warmth that once flowed so naturally seems to cool. You ask what is wrong, and she insists nothing has changed, but her energy says otherwise. Beneath the surface, something profound has shifted. To the outside world, she appears the same. But behind closed doors, she is restless, distant, and suddenly in search of something more. Suddenly, the life she once accepted without question begins to feel unbearable. The daily routines that once defined her role as wife and mother now feel like chains. This is the stage where many men shake their heads and dismiss her behavior as irrational. They label it madness because they cannot explain it. But what they are witnessing is not insanity. It is the first ripple of a psychological storm that comes for many women in their 40s. The reason it feels so sudden is because men often miss the warning signs. For years, she may have quietly suppressed her own desires, postponed her ambitions, and poured herself entirely into the family. Now, as the children grow older or independence creeps in, she finally stops to look at her life. The question rises like thunder. Is this all there is? It is not a passing thought. It is the beginning of a reckoning that has been building for years. To her, the change has been unfolding slowly, layer by layer, year after year. To you, it feels like an explosion that arrives without warning. One day she seems fine, and the next she is questioning everything, perhaps even the marriage itself. This is why so many men feel blindsided. They believed their life was stable, only to watch it unravel. They assume she woke up one morning and went insane. You will hear her say things like, "I don't know who I am anymore. I've spent my whole life living for everyone else." These are not random outbursts. They are symptoms of the shift. If you dismiss them as a temporary phase, you are already losing. Because this transformation is not something she will simply snap out of. It is the opening act of a midlife evolution that can either strengthen her life or completely destroy the relationship. Behind every dramatic shift in behavior lies a deeper biological clock ticking silently in the background. For women, turning 40 is not just another birthday. It is a threshold, a stark reminder that time is no longer on her side. In her 20s and 30s, her body was geared toward fertility, family, and nurturing. She was fueled by hormones that encouraged bonding, patience, and care. But as she approaches midlife, her chemistry begins to change in ways she cannot ignore. Hormonal levels decline, cycles become irregular, and the body whispers a new message. You are entering a different stage. This transition does not just affect her physically, it rewires her emotionally. The soothing hormones that once encouraged sacrifice and tolerance begin to fade. What replaces them is restlessness, urgency, and a hunger to reclaim herself before time runs out. Men notice the irritability, but beneath it is a deeper current, a desperate search for identity. She looks in the mirror and feels the weight of time pressing down. Wrinkles, gray hairs, a slowing metabolism, all reminders that youth is slipping away. With those reminders comes a haunting question: what have I done with my life? This is why so many women in their 40s chase new experiences with almost teenage intensity. Some dive into fitness, fashion, travel, or careers. Others turn to riskier escapes, affairs, addictions, or reckless spending. None of it is random. It is biology pressing the accelerator, whispering, if you don't live now, you may never live at all. This is where the real conflict begins. To a man, stability is the ultimate sign of success. The home, the marriage, the routine. To him, these are proof of loyalty and love. But to her biology, stability in her 40s can feel like a prison. Her hormones no longer push her to nurture or settle. This is why men often feel blindsided. She fears that she gave her youth to everyone else and left nothing for herself. This biological shift magnifies the emotional void she has ignored for decades. It is not just a phase, it is a crossroads. Channeled well, this energy can bring growth, new purpose, and stronger bonds. Channeled poorly, it can tear entire families apart. And here lies the brutal truth. Biology does not care about your marriage vows. It does not care about promises made years ago. Biology only cares about survival and legacy. If she feels that remaining in the same role suffocates her, pressure builds until something breaks. This is why understanding her biology is not optional. It is essential. Without that understanding, all you will see is madness. With it, you recognize the storm for what it truly is: evolution. Every storm brews long before the first lightning strike. The rebellion men see in women at midlife is not born in a single year. It is the product of decades of sacrifice, silence, and deferred dreams. For many women, the first half of adulthood is lived for others. She gives to her husband, to her children, to her household. Her time, her energy, her body, all poured out like an offering. On the surface, she accepts it, but underneath, a quiet resentment grows. She cooks, she cleans, she comforts. She organizes birthdays, soothes conflicts, and wears the mask of devotion. Yet every time she put her own ambitions aside, a silent wound was created. Every time she swallowed anger to keep the peace, a hidden scar remained. Every time she felt unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted, the pain did not vanish. It hardened, it accumulated. By the time she reaches her 40s, the mask begins to crack, and the hidden ledger demands payment. She looks back and realizes half her life is gone. The opportunities she once thought she could return to are no longer waiting. The dreams she believed could be postponed now feel out of reach. And the man beside her, the one who was supposed to notice her sacrifices, suddenly feels like a symbol of everything she lost. This is why so many men are caught off guard. They think providing was enough, but in her mind she carried the invisible weight alone. When that labor goes unacknowledged, it curdles into bitterness. And bitterness is dangerous. It rarely comes out in clear words. More often, it shows itself in subtle ways. Sarcasm, dismissive tones, affection that fades, or a smile that no longer reaches the eyes. Sometimes it takes the shape of quiet withdrawal, nights spent scrolling instead of talking. In its most destructive form, it drives her to seek validation outside the marriage, through attention, affairs, or reckless behavior. At this stage, it is not just biology pushing her, it is history. It is the ghost of every sacrifice she made in silence, every disappointment she buried, every desire she suppressed. When these ghosts rise to the surface, they do not whisper, they scream. To the man, it looks like madness. To her, it feels like justice. She believes she has earned the right to demand more, to reclaim what was lost, and to rewrite her story before time takes the pen from her hand. This is the hidden resentment, the silent account she has been keeping for decades. Most men never realize it exists until the moment the bill comes due, and when it does, the cost is higher than they could have imagined. Resentment does not stay quiet forever. At some point, the pressure must escape, and when it does, the family feels the shockwave. This is why so many households crumble as women enter their 40s. The foundation was cracking long before it collapsed. It often begins subtly. She withdraws emotionally, guards her time more fiercely, and starts investing energy elsewhere. Nights once shared with her husband are now spent with friends. Conversations that once flowed easily turn sharp or silent. The house still stands, but its foundation trembles. And then comes the search for escape. For some women, that escape is healthy. New careers, travel, or long-neglected passions. For others, it becomes destructive. Affairs, secrecy, or abandonment. To the husband, her escape feels like betrayal. To her, it feels like survival. She convinces herself, I gave my life to this family, now it is time to live for me. This is the moment when many men feel the rug pulled from under them. They believed their sacrifices, long hours, stability, loyalty would hold everything together. But the rules have changed. Stability no longer satisfies her. She now craves intensity, freedom, and a renewed sense of self. The fallout can be brutal. Children are caught in the middle, watching their mother transform before their eyes. Husbands are left questioning their own worth, blindsided by divorce papers or emotional withdrawal. Entire families fracture, not from one single event, but from years of unspoken tension erupting at last. What seemed stable suddenly collapses, revealing that the foundation had been eroding quietly beneath the surface for decades. Affairs are the most common explosion. For a woman in her 40s, an affair is rarely just about sex. It is about feeling alive again. It is about being seen, desired, and valued. She chases the spark she believes has died at home, To her husband, it looks like betrayal. To her, it feels like resurrection. Other times, the fallout takes the form of detachment. She does not cheat. She simply checks out, emotionally absent, investing only in herself. The marriage then becomes an empty shell, a business partnership at best. In the most devastating cases, she decides to walk away entirely. Divorce rates spike during this stage of life for a reason. She is convinced she deserves a second chance at happiness, and she is willing to burn the old life to create it. From the outside, it looks like destruction, and it is. Families unravel, children are scarred, and men are left in disbelief. But from her perspective, this is not destruction. It is liberation. She believes she is finally reclaiming the years she lost, rewriting the script of her life before time runs out. This is why so many men insist she went crazy and tore the family apart. The colder truth is that she did not go mad. She simply followed the path that biology, resentment, and unspoken history had been urging her toward for years. The fallout is rarely sudden. It is the natural consequence of everything that came before. The worst mistake a man can make is to dismiss this transformation as a passing phase. It is not temporary. It is a deep psychological and biological shift that every woman eventually confronts. Ignore it and you will be blindsided. Recognize it and you may be able to navigate the storm instead of being swept away by it. This is the moment where a man must make a choice. Fight against it or learn to understand it. Fighting leads to resentment, endless conflict, and often the collapse of the marriage. Understanding, however, opens another path. It means seeing her not as an enemy, but as a woman wrestling with biology, history, and identity all at once. It means recognizing that her transformation is not madness. It is evolution demanding to be acknowledged. But make no mistake, if you close your eyes to this reality, she will eventually walk away. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the pressure will only grow stronger. You cannot wish it away. You cannot silence it by ignoring her. The shift is too powerful, too deeply rooted in both biology and time. Denial guarantees loss. Awareness, however, creates the only chance to survive the storm together. The warning is clear. Do not confuse her transformation for madness. Do not dismiss it as a passing storm. Recognize it for what it truly is, a test. A test of her strength and a test of yours. Fail it and you lose everything. Pass it, and you may not only save your relationship but also witness her most powerful years unfold beside you. This is the reality of women at midlife, and the truth too many men discover far too late. Every transformation is an opportunity. What looks like chaos can become rebirth. What feels like betrayal can lead to deeper understanding, but only if you choose awareness over ignorance, empathy over dismissal, and growth over fear. The storm is coming whether you want it or not. The question is simple. Will you fight it blindly, or will you learn to see it clearly and walk through it with her into a future stronger than the past?